This is the plaintiff, Lynn Smith. She says the defendant once dated her daughter, and while they were together, she laid out money for him to come on a family trip to Disney World with them. At the very last minute, the defendant canceled the trip because he and her daughter broke up. She got stuck with a non-refundable deposit, an airline ticket, and the defendant refuses to pay it. Ingrate. She's suing for $491.60, the amount she's due. This is the defendant, Thomas Foy. He says the plaintiff offered to take him on the trip to Disney, and there was never any discussion of him paying anybody back for it. Only reason she's suing him now is because she's angry he and her daughter split up. Owe her money for a room and an airline ticket he didn't use? No way. He's accused of Mickey Mousing around.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says she fronted the defendant money for a trip to Disney World while the defendant was dating her daughter, but they broke up, and now she wants her money back. But the defendant says the trip was always considered a gift, and this is just revenge. It's the case of you're freaking goofy.
You're welcome.
Okay, Lynn Smith, you are suing your daughter's former boyfriend, Thomas Foy, for $491.60 that you say you are out and that he owes you for a trip that he ended up not taking with your daughter, but that you had fronted him money for?
Yes.
All right, how long, is that your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, how long did they date?
On and off for 6 years, I guess.
Oh, that's a long time. How old are you guys?
I'm 25.
Oh, and you're so young. All right, so what happened?
Well, Chrissy had asked Tom if he'd like to join us when we went to Disney World for our trip March 10th, 2012. Told him how much it would cost him.
What kind of trip was this? Tell me about that.
It was a vacation trip. You know, the family went.
Most are, but I mean,
Right. Oh, okay, it
how
was a
much
vacation.
family was involved?
Oh, well, my daughter and her husband and my grandchildren and my son and his wife. It was a lot of us.
Okay, so your nuclear family and their
Right.
significant others.
Right. So then he had said he didn't have the money up front because there's due dates to pay for the airline, the deposit.
Who did he say that to?
Well, he told Chrissy, but
Come
then
on up, Chrissy.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
He said that he wanted to go. He agreed with having the money by the end of February, that him and my mom talked about it. They came to the agreement that he would have the money by then.
So did he ask her to front it?
I spoke with him.
Tell me about your conversation with him.
Well, she and Tom were in front of me in our hallway, and I said, you know, I'd be willing to put the money on my credit card as long as he had everything paid, the final payment, you know, by the end of February before we left. And he agreed.
Okay.
And I had, you know, after 6 years, I had no reason not to trust him.
Right. Okay. So what happened? Well, let's see. Okay. How'd that work out for you?
So that was the beginning of January. I guess we just ended up breaking up, and it was a very awkward situation because the trip was booked. So
How did you guys break up? Slow and painfully and torturously?
It was kind of strange. We just stopped talking. It was kind of awkward.
After 6 years?
Well, we've been.
Would you break up through text?
It was on and off for 6 years. It was never just like our relationship was kind of like that.
Rough, yeah.
Okay.
But so then I had to, you know, my mom was asking me like, what's going on with the trip? So I texted him, and he said, I have to see, I might have a fireman test during that. I'll have to see if I can change the date. And I said, okay, well, you need to let me know by tomorrow morning.
And go anyway to the trip?
Well, if he couldn't change the date, then he couldn't go. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, so the premise is that if the fireman date can be changed,
then he would still go.
he would go to the trip even though you guys had broken up?
Well, yeah, I
That's
guess.
official.
I mean,
Because you were negotiating?
it wouldn't be the first time we got back together after breaking
Okay,
up.
so you were
I
still
didn't-
negotiating.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Then he texted me the next morning, said that's it, he couldn't go. And then I was like, okay, well, then you owe me the money that my mom upfronted for you for the
Okay.
airline ticket.
Now, it's not everything, right? Because you were able to cancel something.
Yeah.
Yes. I called Disney and I called the airline. With Disney, everything was canceled but the $200 non-refundable deposit for the room. And with the airline, that was non-refundable. But he can use the ticket up till January 2nd, 2013 because
Okay, now I
it
have a
was
question
booked
about the
a year later.
$200 hotel deposit. Can I see that? Did anybody end
Sure.
up staying in that room or no?
No, I had to cancel it because
Okay, so you have paperwork showing no one stayed in the room and
Right.
there was a charge of $200. That's what I want to see. And then give me the paperwork for the airlines. What's going on, Mr. Foy?
As far as
As far as what? As
well,
far as the
okay.
trial that you're on the people's court for, what do you think?
So if you have a pre-planned trip with boyfriend and girlfriend, you break up, would you still go on the trip? What do you think?
No way. Go to the bench. Someone else.
You wouldn't go to the, would you go on the trip? Anybody? Who would go on the trip?
I would because we could make up.
Or not. And it would be just horrible going inside the courtroom.
as far as this goes on, I don't mind paying the airline ticket because it's in my
Go ahead.
my name. It's not in my possession, but I can use it until January of 2014.
Well, you say you don't mind, but you haven't paid it.
Well, because they're also charging me for the full cancellation, which I was not going to be standing in this room by myself. And I was under the understanding when I have the money, I would pay that off.
But so why didn't you? Why didn't you pay anything? Because you also didn't. It's not as though you paid for the Southwest airline ticket, and then the only thing we're disputing is the other part. You didn't pay for anything. So tell me, was
that
it a
also
bitter
part with-
breakup?
Yeah, absolutely. It was
What
also part
happened?
of the breakup.
What happened in the breakup?
Love loss. It's
But I
just
mean, hers. Like in other words,
mutually, absolutely.
So what was
After
so bitter
Christmas
about
time
it
was
then?
on,
If it's mutual.
we were under the understanding that she was going to be in the city on the day. I thought I'd meet her in the city. She told me she's not going to be in the city that day. 2 days later, she filed for a lawsuit.
No, I see the text where she says just mail it, and then a week later she says you never mailed it. I'm filing a lawsuit. So why didn't you mail it in that week?
Just didn't have the money for it. Your
Okay,
Honor.
so let's
I'm
just
sorry,
call
didn't
it
have the money.
what it is.
Yes.
Right? So let's discuss the charge for the hotel, which appears to be the one last thing in dispute.
Okay. The original arrangements were Christine was in my room. I had paid a $200 deposit for my room, which was for myself, my daughter, and my son and his wife. Then when he came on, he had to get another room because there was not enough.
Right.
You can't have 4 people in the room, 4 guests. And then, of course, he wanted Chrissy in his room. So then I had to call Disney to take her off, put him in that room, put her in his room.
Right.
And then when he canceled, I had to scramble and get her back into my room. But
Okay, I have all the Southwest Airlines evidence. I need the evidence of the hotel.
oh, that's underneath there.
Yeah, okay. Now, how do I know that's not for your room? I just need to sort
Oh,
of.
here's my room. It's a different reservation number.
Can I have that?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
that's
can.
good. That's what I need.
I
That's
didn't know. I
exactly
have
what
it,
I need.
just
How
in
many
case.
rooms did you rent on your card?
2.
Okay, his and yours.
No, that was a third.
That was a third. Okay. There is no question that you told her, I can't go, I have the fireman's thing, right?
There's no question as far as
I'm
I
asking
did
you,
say
is that
that.
accurate?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. I find that you are liable for the amount that she's asking for. I think it's reasonable and the appropriate measure of damages. The $200 that she's out for the room that didn't get used and the $291.60 for the airline ticket. Is the airline ticket physically present in this room?
No,
You
it's
don't
only a
get-
reservation number. I never had it.
Okay.
But it's,
we're going to make arrangements right now for you to have that reservation number because that's something that you should be able to use
He
within
has
next
it.
year. Yeah.
The room was not going to be by myself, so I thought it'd be shared.
No, I
with
understand,
her.
but see, it's not for me. It's not a question of whether she was going to share a room with you because she didn't. So why should she have to pay it because you canceled? That's why I just asked you
Okay.
the question I just
Okay.
asked you.
Absolutely.
If the cancellation is thanks to you, then the cancellation fee is also 100% thanks to you. My verdict is for the plaintiff in the amount of the $491.60. Good luck, folks.
That verdict is for the entire amount in this case. Here's the defendant. What's your feeling on this?
I feel like I shouldn't pay for the whole room that I was going to be shared.
How much should you think you pay for?
About half, because that's how the room was going to be shared.
Well, the judge
won't-
feels differently.
I wasn't going to go in a room with the mother, her.
Well, if
her
you felt you
brother.
should pay half, why didn't you pay half?
I just hadn't the setup. It was a little miscommunication. It happens.
You're
with
not
breakups.
bitter about the breakup going?
No, I
relationship
just see
going
this as
south?
start new. Whatever I have to pay off is a get out of jail free card.
Right around the corner. All right, so come on out here. Here's the plaintiff in this case. Step on in here. You satisfied?
Yes.
Well, you got everything here.
Yes.
What do you think? Why do you think he didn't respond?
I really don't know. I just
What
had.
happened in your relationship? Why did it break up?
We just grew apart.
So was it his idea to break up?
It was mutual. But yeah, it wasn't painless. Just 'cause it was,
Painful.
yeah, a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
You still hurting?
I'm all right. Moving on.
Harvey?
This is done. Yeah.
So here's the deal, pretty simple. If somebody agrees to pay money and there are changed circumstances, that doesn't eliminate the obligation just because they broke up. Too bad, so sad.